This is a Delta 88. These are Scandinavian. This is built in Sweden, in fact, and these are frankly spectacular. I'm going to give you the full tour of this one, but the things to know about it first of all is that it's an entirely carbon build. It's a really high performance machine, and we'll talk about engines and performance obviously in a little while, but we'll step on board first of all. We've got the transformer here. What this does is it's a lift. You can step up onto the quay, it can be lowered down into the water, but it'll also lift that Williams 345 up by placing it on here, lift it, cantilever it over and put it on the bathing platform. There is in fact a garage as well in here, but on this boat the owner prefers to use that for the toys, keep the tender on the back, but it will take that Williams 345 in the garage, so in the winter if you wanted to put that away you could do. We will step up this way first of all, and we'll take a look at the interior first of all, but of course we're going to do the decks, we're going to do the crew cabin, we're going to do the engines, the lot. This, I think, you are going to enjoy. So this then is the interior, and there's a very Scandinavian vibe to this. As you can see, it's quite minimalist for a big yacht. I mean, she's 88 foot. She looks really quite discreet. I love the colour scheme. I love this colour wood as well. It all tones in really nicely. And if we head on through, what you've got here then, obviously this is the saloon area, the lounging area if you like. And then if we go on forward again, then you've got the dining area on this side and the galley over here. Quite a decent sized galley, so you've got the big fridge freezers as you'd expect down here. Obviously the full set of those because they're here as well. There's also Miele dishwasher in here, and then you've got the Miele electric hob. You've got the oven, and look at this extractor fan. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Superb. And then this is all storage, of course. I won't open them all, but you get the idea. In fact, that's everywhere. You can see it all the way down across there as well. And let's head on round. A lot to show you on this one, actually. Up here then is the helm position. So this is raised slightly, so you get a really good view. And I love this forward sloping windscreen. Gives it an almost sort of commercial feel, doesn't it? But with that luxury as well. I mean, it's a great meld of the two. Serious luxury machine, but with that sort of that heavy duty feel to it. And that's actually backed up by the performance on this, which is frankly spectacular, as I'm told is the seakeeping. And as I say, we will come to that in a little while, but this is where you would drive it from. So these are lift bolster seats. You can drop these down if you prefer, or have them lifted up. There's a joystick control on this. It is actually IPS on this one. And then you've got these three big Garmin screens all across here. There's a control system for the boat here. So this is giving you levels, fuel levels, fresh water, that kind of stuff. But you can also scroll across here then and get into pumps and get into lighting, and all that kind of stuff is all configurable from there. Throttles are here. The Humphrey trim tabs are here as well. If we come across then, that one's a chain counter. There's a bow thruster on this one. It's IPS, so no need for a stern thruster on here, and then all your switches across here. And if we spin on round, side door access on both sides, in fact, so you've got that there and the same over there. It's a pretty practical boat. I mean, it is a super yacht pretty much. It's just fractionally under the 24-meter load line length rule, so it falls within the RCD regulations, which is great from a crewing point of view. But if we head on down, you'll see it is the real deal when you see the accommodation, because it's pretty spectacular down here. We'll go right to the front first of all and then work our way back. So up here there is the VIP guest cabin up here in the bow. There is a hatch up above, but it's obviously closed off just at the moment, but that gives you obviously a bit more light if you want it. Again, loads of storage about the place. You've got your AV equipment in here as well. Look at these light switches, they're right through the boat. But everything's just so nicely, neatly done, isn't it? There is an ensuite on here, as you would imagine. That's in here. But there's also a day heads in here, and that's also the laundry facilities, which are currently in use. We'll head on back a little bit further. There are two guest cabins back here. Both of these are configurable between doubles or singles. So this one, as you can see, is laid out as a double. Again, a load of storage about the place. So hanging rails in here, for example. And then if we come on round, that is the the ensuite for that cabin, and then if we cross straight over, oh hello,
Sorry.
they're quite all right.
interrupted you.
No, you're fine. If you head that way, I'm heading backwards. Hello. Hi. And if we head across to the other side, you'll see that there's a pretty much identical cabin. This one's been set up so you can see the difference with the two singles. But again, you can slide that across. You can configure that as a double if you prefer. And then again, AV equipment, air conditioning controls, all that kind of stuff. And its own ensuite. Shower's just in there. So it's interesting because all of the cabins have their en-suites, but there is also a separate day heads as well. And if we head on back here then, pausing just to have a quick look in here. Okay, that's vacuum cleaners and that kind of stuff, it looks like. This is the owner's cabin. This is pretty spectacular because you've actually got this lovely sort of relaxing area over on this side, really, isn't it? And then you've got the bed over here. Now, we've shown you pop-up TVs before, but nothing quite like this, because if we pop this one up, there we go. You can see it's got a TV on this side for this area, but it's also got a TV on this side for this area. That's pretty smart, isn't it? So as I say, bed is here, and if we spin right on around, we will find the ensuite. And again, as you'd imagine, it's a much bigger one with this one with the twin sinks. Really lovely big rainfall shower back here. That's so nicely done, isn't it? Of course, that door comes across to enclose that. And then if we come on around again, we'll find the separate toilet area is tucked in behind here. And then the other thing that you have in this cabin, if we come back out of here, this one is a huge walk-in wardrobe. Really, really good size. Look at that. It's all proper super yacht stuff, isn't it? You might be wondering about this. This is actually accessed through, it's basically an escape hatch. So if you really need to get out of this cabin in a hurry and you couldn't go forward, you can go backwards. That takes you into the crew cabin. I'll show you the other side of that when we look at the crew cabin in a little while. All of these doors, incidentally, every single one, even here, they've all got these rubber gaskets on. I don't know if you can see that. So everything's nice and quiet, nothing rattles. And they shut really solidly. There we go. Another of those control systems over here for the boat, as you can see. And then a nice little dressing area or desk or whatever you want to use that for. That's an impressive cabin, isn't it? But again, it's got that lovely Scandinavian vibe all the way through. Nothing feels sort of flash. It all just feels really nice quality. Really beautifully done. Let's head back on up these steps. This takes us, of course, back to the Helm area just behind us up there. And then we've got the galley, as we saw, and the saloon back here. We'll take a wander around the decks. We'll have a look at the Flybridge. And then we'll head down to the crew area and the engine rooms. The engines in particular and the performance of this machine are worth talking about. So we'll head around here. You've got a little bar area out here. There's an ice maker down there as well. These are docking stations. There's one on each side. So you've got one just there controlling the IPS. Exactly the same over on the other side. This one is just a big deck locker for all your cleaning gear, that sort of thing. Even that's beautifully organised, isn't it? And if we head right on round, you can see these really substantial deck gear. Look at these bollards, and there's two sets of them, and then the actual mooring warps go through these fairleads here. It's such an incredibly engineered boat. Look at these. You see these here? The reason for those is because your fenders slot into them. You just push that and lift them out. Up here on the bow then, you've got a very nice little area where you can sit. That's great when you're still in two berths in the med, as we are at the minute, of course. It means you're away from the quay, and your view then is out over the bow. Table, that's height adjustable, and it folds out for dining if you want to. And then you've got this sunbathing area here, and that is the top of that hatch that we saw from the forward cabin. And we come right up to the bow. Again, that really substantial deck gear, the anchor winch there, and a little seat up on the front. And if we step up onto that, look at this anchor. Fantastic. Let's spin right round. That's how she looks from here. I mean, that is not your classic Superyacht, is it? That's a really serious looking machine, and it has the performance to back up those looks. Okay, let's go back down this side. You've got deck lockers here for things like your fenders and that kind of stuff. That all lives in there. We'll come right back on down. These are these side doors next to the helm. So the helm station is just in through there. These big bollards again. And then if we come right back, this then takes us down to the crew area and the engine space. So let's drop down here. Look at this engineering on these door hinges. It's all proper substantial stuff, isn't it? Okay, so down here is crew mess. In fact, there was a little table in here which they decided to remove because they don't eat down here, they always eat up on the main deck. They're going to put maybe like a wardrobe or something in there, the captain was telling me. Down here you've got then, as you can see, a little bit of seating. This is another of those control panels. On this one it's currently on all the circuit breakers, but again this is exactly like we saw in the other areas of the boat. So you can control everything from there. Generator controls, twin generators on this one, and some of the other main controls as well, like the battery isolators, for example, are on there as well. If we look at this end then, first of all, that is heads compartment. So you've got a sink in there, the toilet, and then a shower in just there. And if I reverse out of there and cross over to the other side, there are two cabins down here. One like so, and that one is pretty much a mirror image. So you've got wardrobes down there, hooks along the place, bit of light, natural lighting through there, and so on. But again, nicely done. All the woodwork is the same standard as the rest of the boat. There we go, Garmin navigation screen down here as well, so if you want to keep an eye on the anchor watch, for example, then you can do. And then this one takes us through to the engines. Now I think I mentioned that she is a carbon construction, she's all carbon build. And down here you have got, close that behind me, that's an IPS 1350 engine, another IPS 1350 engine, and if I come across here, one more IPS 1350 engine. These are 1,000 horsepower each, so you've got 3,000 horsepower. And you link that to the carbon construction and you've got a boat here that will do getting on towards 40 knots. Apparently 40 knots on a really good day, but typically 38, 39 knots. It is a flying machine. And the really good news about it is, I was talking to the captain earlier, and she was telling me that, in fact, even if you're out in like a 1.5 metre swell, you just keep the power on, you keep the speed on, and she'll cruise at 26 knots, and she'll just blast through that. And in fact, she told me that sometimes the faster you go, the better it rides. And it, in her experience, exceeds quite a lot of boats she's been on, which are larger. It's a proper impressive machine, this. Range is over 500 miles, even at that 26 knot cruising speed. And obviously if you drop the speed right back, you'll get an awful lot further, but that's your normal cruising gait. You can see these are the tops of the pods, all the way across here. You've got the batteries all neatly installed along here. It's very nicely done. This fella above us here is the tender garage that we saw. And then if we come right on round, other things that we've got in here is the generator. Big Mastervolt batteries over here, a lot of these lithium batteries. And another generator then over on that side. And you're now thinking, Nick, you didn't do the Flybridge, you idiot. And luckily, it's exactly what I thought as well. It looks like there's even got air conditioning in the engine room. So, we'll head back up and we'll finish off on the Flybridge, because that's a bit of an oversight, if I'm honest. Okay, let's come back up here. Pop our head back out of the crew area. head on round, and then these are the steps. You can actually see that carbon fibre weave in places like this. Is quite neat the way they've done this. Can you see that? Oh, that'll pick it up. Actually really nice. Okay, up to the flying bridge. And what we have here is a big sunbathing area across the back of the boat. This is like a wet bar. There is a barbecue they put up here so they can fry the fish or whatever in the summer. And then along here, what have we got? Ice maker is in here. I think there's a fridge in here as well, if I remember rightly. That's bins and bins. I think perhaps that M one is a fridge. Yes, it is. There we go. And then if we spin on round, then there's a really nice seating area up here as well. This table folds out a little like the one we saw on the foredeck. And if we come right down this side, again, look at the constructions of even things like the bimini top. It's just all so rock solid, isn't it? And then up here is the upper helm position. Again, you've got these lift bolster seats. This would be brilliant when you're underway, a few friends or family along, and everyone can sit along here, cruising down the coast, 26 knots, covering some ground. And that view out over the bow. Just remarkable. Twin Garmin screens up here, so you've got full control over everything. Throttle controls again. You've also got, that's the controllers for the screens, trim tab controllers, bow thruster, and so on. And I don't think I mentioned it, but there's also a Seakeeper on this one as well. So Seakeeper, I think it's a 16, so you've got that for gyro stabilisation too. And that is it. That's a really impressive boat. I've been trying to get one of these for a little while actually, because they are such an interesting machine. So it's been great to bring you this. You can see this is a sun top that powers out from the back of this overhang here. So that retracts away if you don't want to use it. And then finally right up on the top, I did say it was all areas, didn't I? Satellite communications, domes. That's a FLIR camera, so it's a night vision camera. There's another camera pointing backwards there. This is giving you wind speed and direction. That's what that little windmill fellow is there. So you can read that out on the display even if you're down below. Very nice. Very taken with this. Impressive machine. Let's finish up at this upper helm. In fact, I'm going to take the helm position itself. Here we go. Look at this steering wheel. That's great, isn't it? Very nice indeed. So there we are. Massive thanks to Ocean Independence. They organised this tour for me. Huge thanks to you guys, of course, for watching. Let me know what you think of this one. It's a bit different and it's a bit brilliant, I think. Let me know what your thoughts are. Catch you on another one of these real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.